means is that the cause is Israel, whatever Israel does, and the effect is violence, hatred, and bigotry against the Jewish community. So what that means is that people can think or feel or act, okay, on their hatred, and you've given them permission to blame that hatred, to blame that violence, not on their own ugly hearts, okay? Because let's be clear, that's the only reason for any hatred towards an entire community based on their identity, but on some external factor.
What is the cause of anti-Semitism? Is it truly related to whatever happens in Israel is what causes anti-Semitism throughout the world? Some people seem to differentiate between anti-Zionism versus anti-Semitism. But let's take a reality check here and let's analyze this. Is anti-Semitism has risen around the world because what happens in Israel? Let's listen to this conversation. Let's watch it together, and then we'll discuss it afterwards. Kindly subscribe to the channel so that a little bit of light will push away a lot of darkness.
Okay, we need to have a conversation about this line that's going around, and that very dangerous line is that the rise in global anti-Semitism is because of Israel, or what Israel does, or what Netanyahu says. What this does is that it establishes a causal relationship, okay, a causal relationship between the actions of the Israeli government and global Jewry, okay, not global jewelry, but global Jewry. What that means is that the cause is Israel, whatever Israel does, and the effect is violence, hatred, and bigotry against the Jewish community. So what that means is that people can think or feel or act, okay, on their hatred, and you've given them permission to blame that hatred, to blame that violence, not on their own ugly hearts, okay? Because let's be clear, that's the only reason for any hatred towards an entire community based on their identity, but on some external factor, right? So you've given them a framework to absolve accountability, responsibility for their very deeply personal hatred while blaming it on something else. And I promise you that people who feel that way don't need an excuse, and you're giving them one. Now, I know what you're probably thinking is, but it makes sense. It makes sense that based on what Israel's doing, there would be this reaction out in the world, but it doesn't make so much sense when you apply that to any other community. Imagine attacking Muslims around the world because of what Hamas is doing. Like, just imagine this. Imagine seeing a video of somebody walking into a restaurant and seeing Muslims and going, "What you guys are doing to the hostages is disgusting." We'd all be like, what? We have enough common sense to be like, oh, wait a minute. They have nothing to do with what Hamas is doing. Global Muslims aren't responsible or inextricably tethered to Hamas, nor do they have to pay the consequences for Hamas's actions, nor the Taliban, nor ISIS. When you guys keep reinforcing this causal relationship between global Jewry and Israel, what you're legitimizing very specifically is something called collective punishment. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. Collective punishment isn't just a feature of racism or xenophobia. It's a feature of something very specific when it comes to Jews. That is Nazism. Okay, that's Nazism. You know why? Because it is the very basis of Nazi ideology. Nazi ideology was based on the premise that some Jews were responsible for some evil, right? Which to the Nazis was socialism, while at the exact same time to the Soviets was capitalism. Do you see how that works? Jews were responsible for socialism in Nazi Germany while being responsible for capitalism in Soviet Russia at the same time. And because of that Nazi mindset, they believed that all Jews should collectively pay the price for it because all Jews are complicit. The Nazi mindset is treating all as responsible for one and one as responsible for all, but only with the Jewish community. With every other community, Everyone's just an individual agent. No matter how much devastation and death and destruction is caused by individual members of those communities. Isn't it so funny how that works? The mind capture that's happening in the world right now is so unbelievably obvious, and yet you people don't see it. You don't actually see that there is an intentional effort to turn the world against Jews and Israelis. Like you literally don't see that that's happening to your brains. And now I truly understand, especially after studying mass brainwashing for the past year, I truly understand how Nazi Germany happened. Because Nazi Germany wasn't a situation where a regime just started killing Jews and people didn't say anything. It was a mass reprogramming indoctrination campaign where Germans took part in the killing of Jews because they had been so subverted to believe that that was the right thing to do. They genuinely believed that their hatred was both legitimate and warranted. And why did they believe that? Because of the very same things that you people are doing now. So when people say things like what you would have done during the Holocaust is what you're doing now, they're actually right. Because this is the identical pattern of what happened in the almost decade that preceded the final solution. And what was happening during that time was a very deliberate, intentional, and constant effort to ideologically subvert the masses into hating an entire community such that you would legitimately believe that it was warranted. So what you're doing now, thinking to yourself, I kind of get this collective punishment, is what you would have done in Nazi Germany, kind of getting the Nazis.
She just brought it out so clearly presented, and I really think she presented a case for us to understand the parallels between now and Nazi Germany. And we keep on reflecting about the idea of we cannot allow history to repeat itself. And the way you do that is by not doing the same thing and expecting different results. So the anti-Semitism that we have endured since October 7 is not new anti-Semitism, and it truly doesn't have anything to do with Israel. You know, a Jew living in South Dakota, how does what's happening in Israel and Gaza have to do with that Jew? Why hate that Jew? He's not at war. He's not in Gaza. Why are you taking out, or what happened in Boulder, Colorado, when they threw Molotov cocktails on innocent bystanders? So the reality is anti-Semitism has been around forever. Sometimes it goes dormant. It remains covertly under the table or under the rug, as they say, or in the closet. And any opportunity to come out of the closet, any opportunity to bring it out of the rug and go from covert to overt, they jump on it. And it becomes kind of fashionable that it's okay to have anti-Semitism. We can't be racist based on color, race, but if it's anti-Semitism, it seems to be acceptable and tolerable. As one of my English friends once told me, that he saw once written that the definition of anti-Semitism is not hating a Jew more than it's absolutely necessary. What a sad statement. Why is this hate? Why is there such hate towards a group of people who has proven itself over the generations to do whatever it can to make this world a better place? The mandate of the Jewish nation is to be a light unto the other nations, unto the world. Our responsibility by God is to be a light unto the nations. And we have tried that, and we have succeeded over all the generations to make a difference for humankind, for mankind. All of our accomplishments, all of our inventions, our discoveries, in all areas of life, it's all been to help better humanity. Just take a look in the last 77 years, see what Israel has contributed to the world. Look around the neighboring Arab states. How many Nobel Prize winners came from there? How many new inventions, innovations were accomplished in the last 77 years? There'd be no comparison whatsoever. It's because Israel and the Jewish people are one. We're here to serve humanity. And we just want to live and let live. We are a religion that's based on life and on the living. And all we ask for is give us secure borders, keep the terrorists away, let us continue to live our life so that we can continue on serving you and serving the world, serving God and making Israel a better place. God bless you. God loves you.